Welcome to AutoVanta, your global garage of luxury icons, future machines, and timeless classics. From hypercars to historic legends, if it rides with a soul, we drive it here. Subscribe now, because today's story is more than a car, it's a journey through time. It wasn't the fastest car. It wasn't the most luxurious. But it was the first car that truly belonged to the people. A machine that didn't just move us physically, it moved us as a society, as a culture, and as a civilization. This is the unforgettable tale of the Ford Model T, the car that changed everything. Imagine the world in 1908. Horses ruled the roads, and if you wanted to travel 10 miles, you either walked, rode, or stayed home. Owning a car was something only the elite could dream of. That was until Henry Ford decided to flip the world upside down with a simple, rugged, unstoppable invention, the Model T. They called it the Tin Lizzie. Not because it was glamorous, but because it was honest. With its boxy frame, tall skinny wheels, and crank-start engine, it wasn't built to impress, it was built to last. It didn't matter if you were a farmer in Iowa or a teacher in New Jersey. If you had $850, the Model T was yours. And soon, that price would drop even further. Henry Ford believed something revolutionary, that cars should be for everyone, not just the wealthy. So he introduced the moving assembly line in 1913, cutting production time dramatically. What once took over 12 hours to build, now took just an hour and a half. The result? The price dropped to under $300, and by the 1920s, nearly every American family could afford a car. The Model T had a 2.9-liter four-cylinder engine with 20 horsepower. It topped out at 45 miles per hour, but speed was never the point. This was about independence, about getting where you wanted, when you wanted, about freedom, and it wasn't just the machine, it was the experience. Driving a Model T was unlike anything today. There was no gas pedal. You controlled the throttle with a hand lever on the steering column. The clutch, brake, and reverse were all foot pedals, but not like you know them. Starting it involved turning a hand crank at the front, sometimes risking a broken wrist if it backfired. Every start was a ritual. Every drive was a dance. Yet people loved it, not because it was easy, but because it was theirs. The Model T gave America a new identity. Dirt roads turned to highways. Isolated towns became connected. Families began to explore. Sunday drives became tradition. The nation began to stretch, to grow, to move. At one point, over 50% of all cars in the world were Model Ts. Think about that, half of every car on the planet looked the same. That's not a trend, that's a revolution. It wasn't just a civilian car either. During World War I, the Model T served as ambulances, supply trucks, and even military communication vehicles. It wasn't built for war, but it showed up anyway. Tough, adaptable, and brave, like the country it came from. Over the years, the Model T was available in many body styles: roadster, coupe, pickup, and touring models. But for years, you could get it in any color, as long as it was black. That wasn't a style choice. It was practicality. Black paint dried faster and kept production running. By 1927, the world had changed again. Style was evolving. Roads were improving, expectations were rising, and after nearly 2 decades and over 15 million units sold, Ford discontinued the Model T and introduced the Model A. But the legacy of the Model T was already written, in oil, in dust, and in the hearts of millions. Today, driving a Model T is like opening a time capsule. The wooden steering wheel, the brass radiator, the stiff bench seat, it all tells a story. A story of ambition, of resilience, of an era when owning a car was a dream come true. And yet, more than 100 years later, many of these cars are still running. Still rolling on back roads and country fairs. Still humming with that unmistakable putter-putter sound. They're not museum pieces, they're living legends. And every dent, every faded badge, is proof of a life well driven. The Ford Model T didn't just give birth to the American auto industry, it redefined what it meant to live. To explore. To take the long way home. It was the spark that ignited a global love affair with the open road. So what do we really remember when we see a Model T? Maybe it's not just the specs, the steel, or the speed. Maybe it's the image of a father teaching his daughter how to crank start the engine. Or a family of 6 packed into a touring car headed for their first vacation. Or the lonely sound of its tires crunching on a gravel road at sunset. Because some cars transport you, and others transform you. The Model T did both. Today, in a world of self-driving cars and EVs that whisper across asphalt, it's easy to forget where we started. But when you see that black boxy silhouette rolling down the street, remember, that's not just a car. That's the beginning of everything. If you've ever sat behind the wheel and felt free, if you've ever taken a road trip that changed your life, if you've ever looked at a machine and felt something deeper than admiration, you owe a quiet thank you to the Ford Model T. And that, Yanni, is why this legend will never fade. Thanks for watching AutoVanta, where the past roars, the future flies, and passion drives everything in between. Make sure to subscribe and share your favorite old car memory in the comments below. We've got more timeless rides coming your way.